in funding to more than 1.5 million smallholder farmers of 16 different commodities.
Some of the youth leaders who responded commended the federal government for the programs which are aimed at improving their standard of living and pledged their resolve to utilize the knowledge gained from the interactive session positively. Commended youths in the state for conducting themselves in a peaceful manner. In Makudi, Bem Hanya, NTA News.
Well, Nigerians are generally still recovering from the impact of weeks of protests, more so from the violence which rocked major cities and suburbs across various states of the country. While efforts intensify to restore order and normalcy we see is gradually returning to affected areas, calls have been made, urging the angry youths and those with the intention of further, to cause any further form of public unrest to desist from the act. Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Sunday Diary, joins us now in the studio to discuss the fallouts of the violent protests and how best to pacify the angry youths and redirect their energies. Thank you very much for joining us, Minister.
Thank you for having me this afternoon.
So, let's begin this way, Minister. What are we hearing, rather, what are you hearing, from the youths, as regard the investigative panel that we all aware that has already started sitting?
Well, I think the feedback so far has been very positive on all fronts. Recall that they gave 5 demands. The government responded and agreed to the 5 demands. The processes have already started. Various levels of government have been activated to meet some of these demands. And of course, in the last 1 week or so, I've had a couple of travels. Several ministers have also traveled. For instance, I've had 2 virtual, the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development has had 2 virtual town hall meetings with the Nigerian youth. The first one, 2 Fridays ago, had about 250 Nigerian youth join us on it, alongside 2 other ministers. But last Friday, we had another one, the second one, and we had over 12,000 youth join us in an interactive session. We provided updates on the reforms and also the plans of government for the youth. We'll continue doing this from next Friday for the next 1 year or so. The feedback from that is being processed. And what has come back very clearly, our youth are not violent. We saw that for 12, 13 days, we had very peaceful protests.
Yes.
But then, as it is with every other protest, if you don't hold your guard very well, you get infiltrated.
Yes.
And then what happens, happens. It's typical. You get that anywhere. And so it's unfortunate that that happened. It was infiltrated. We've seen the fallout of that. But I think that the noble cause, the noble demands of our youth are being met by the government. I've met youth in Lagos. I've met them in Ibadan on Monday. I've met them online virtually. And it's very clear. The youth want a better country. They want greater opportunities. They want to make sure that government places at the top of their agenda of policies the interest of the youth. And those expectations are legitimate.
Okay, now we know the Nigerian Youth Online that has been set up, Youth Online Assembly that has been set up. Now, what are you doing, with other stakeholders who have common interests, to redirect these energies that have been pent up, to fashion it in positive ways?
Well, before the hashtag #EndSARS protest started, the President Muhammadu Buhari government has since gone to work. And I can date some of our youth focus programs. We have about 25 youth focus programs. We started about 5.5 years ago. But let me stay within the 1 year I've been minister. About 3 or 4 programs I've started. Of course, top of the pack is the 75 billion Nigerian Youth Investment Fund. And 2 weeks ago, we started the onboarding, the process of application. As at yesterday, we've had about 1.6 million Nigerian youth apply, waiting in line for training and to be processed for that loan. And that loan is meant to invest in their innovative ideas, to turn them into entrepreneurs, because that's where the work is right now. But beyond that, about October last year, we rolled out a new program called DEAL, D-E-E-L.
Okay.
D stands for Digital Skills Acquisition, because there's a digital skills gap. E stands for employability,
okay,
to improve the employability of our youth. The second E stands for employment, to create employment for them. And L stands for leadership and mentoring, because they are the leaders of tomorrow. And when you look at under each letter, the project I've started, the NYIF is for employment. the WEP, Work Experience Program, that places them on 3 months paid internship, is for employment. Digital skills, we've trained about 17 to 20,000 under IBM. Overall, we've trained about 40,000 youth. Okay. Now, we're in the stimulus period now. The funds for stimulus plan is coming. We plan to train in the next 2-3 years over 500,000 youth. So some of these programs have been since conceived. We just needed to get through the budgeting process, the release process, and the work plan will have rolled in.
You know, that is one unique aspect that a lot of youth want to jump at. But we'll get back to that. But let me take you to the NSAS protest now. Right. A lot of people, you know, there were concerns about the leadership, the construct about the whole NSAS protest, which came in different strings. Right. Now, well, some of the speculation that is it because there was no, like, you know, an apparent leadership, you know, for the group, talking about the NSAS protesters, you know, was that why there was no means, you know, clear-cut negotiations between government and the people?
Well, I think first, I think that the youth and the faces that started this process were able to mobilize. They were able to organize. And they did something that was very important. Very early in the stage of that protest, they were able to put together and put forward the 5 key demands. They did excellently well with that. And they not just put it forward, they got it across to government, but also got the attention of government and the president to accede to those demands. That is a success mark. But also it's important when you are in a protest or in a movement, you got to know when to draw the line, when to retreat, because things take time.
Yes.
And what government asks for then, say, well, we've accepted your demands. We're working on them. We need time to be able to deal with this. But also we need you to come forward so that we can have a negotiation. And like I said, wherever I've been, the government has since come to the negotiating table. There's a seat for the Nigerian youth and their leadership at the negotiation table. They need to come forward. The biggest wars and conflicts in this world have always ended on the negotiating table, in dialogue. And that's what we expect this time around.
All right, and it's good you're leading the course. We're beginning to see some positive results, so we're going to put attention on that. Subsequently, we'll hope that when we call on you, you'll definitely respond, because, of course, the youth will want to know what's the latest updates. That's for those who are not privileged.
There's a lot of content on our website, and they need to apply themselves to the opportunities that are available. Quite a number of them. You talk about NOYA. The NOYA is an aggregator website that we built 6 months ago. Okay. More than 45 opportunities globally. Beyond
can you tell us the website?
It's www.noya.com. And NOYA stands for Nigerian Online Youth Assembly. Okay. Because we found out that 65% of our youth prefer to be met online. And the opportunity is there.
All right. Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you for your time. Minister of Youth and Sports Development there, Sunday Diary. Let's go on a break. We're back. Stay tuned.
A scorecard like no other. Government has put in place measures and initiatives principally targeted at youths, women, and the most vulnerable groups in our society. These included a broad plan to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in the next 10 years. The creation of 75 billion naira National Youth Investment Fund to provide opportunities for the youths, and the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Survivor Fund, through which government is A. Paying 3-month salaries of the staff of 100,000 micro, small and medium enterprises. B. Paying for the registration of 250,000 businesses at the Corporate Affairs Commission. C. Giving a grant of 30,000 naira to 100,000 artisans and guaranteeing market for the product of traders. These are in addition to many other initiatives such as farmer money, trader money, market money, N-Power, N-Tech, and N-Agro. These and more in spite of a recession and a global pandemic. Do you desire to upscale your skills and capacities for better productivity? Then you need to attend the following courses organized by NTA TV College, Jos. Protocol Event Management and Public Relations. Date 2nd to 13th November 2020. Intermediate Camera Operation Techniques. Date 2nd to 13th November 2020. Intermediate Online News Reporting Skills. Date 16th to 27th November 2020. The course fee for the 4-week course is 100,000 naira per participant, while the fee for other courses is 80,000 naira only. Accommodation inclusive. Venue for all courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA Television College, near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College, Jos, training you to be the best you want to be.
Mr. President said the youth of this country have spoken, and he has heard, and he has since gone to work for the youth of our country, not just as a president, but even as a father of the younger generation.
The real Nigerian youth is a patriot, not a tool of destabilization.
Mr. President made an appeal to the Nigerian youth that these protests, wherever held, should be done in a peaceful manner. The Nigerian youth should be on their guard to make sure that elements that will infiltrate and distract them from the very purpose of their protest should be prevented from doing so.
Listen to the voice of reason.
The Premier League Live is brought to you by Access Bank and Babai Jebu.
Thanks for being there. Governor Sanwo-Olu awards scholarship to children of slain policemen. Let's now join Michael in Lagos. He's going to bring us that detail and more.
Thank you, Ruth. The Third Mainland Bridge is to be totally closed for a second time this month for another 48 hours beginning from 30th of October. The closure is necessary for the second phase of casting and placement of expansion joints. Dr. Nguyemi is standing by to give an update of the situation. Hello, Dr.
Thank you, Studio. From the initial plans of the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, this section of the bridge where I am currently standing, that is from Adeniji to Iyanoworo, is actually supposed to have been completed as at the 24th of this month, while work will then have moved to the other section of the road, which is from Adekunle down to Adeniji. But as it is, work on this section is yet to be completed, as the Federal Ministry of Work says the second batch of total closure of this section of the road is expected to commence from the 30th of October up to the 1st of November. That's midnight Friday 30th to the midnight of Sunday the 1st of November.
Many motor always follow one way. You know there's no last mile, that's why we look at caution them.
And they say this one is 3 months, this side is 3 months. So it cannot be possible. So we don't know actual time they will finish this road.
A statement by the Commissioner of Transportation, Dr. Frederick Oladende, actually states that previous alternative routes remain the same for road users to utilize during the period of this second closure, while LASMA and other traffic management agencies would be on grounds to direct traffic for easy vehicular movement. And while while the state government expects full cooperation for motorists during this period, a lot is riding on the presence of security agencies who have not been on this stretch of the road for a couple of days after the protests. And that's it from me. It's back to you in the studio.
Dr. Nguyemi giving an update on the Third Mainland Bridge. The healing process has begun in Lagos as the state government moves to compensate families of security personnel who lost their lives in pockets of violence that preceded the recent protest against police brutality. To this end, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has established a scholarship scheme for children of slain policemen. Nosausula reports that the academic grant extends to tertiary level.
The State Police Command bore huge loss in personnel, armory and properties in the violence. 29 divisional police stations and 17 police posts were razed by hoodlums disguising as protesters. Also, 6 police officers were lynched, 36 critically injured, while 71 police operational vehicles were touched. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu said the statutory duties of the police could not be wished away because of the actions of a few bad eggs, noting that the impact of the police officers' absence on the roads was generally felt by residents.
The first request that he had said is that the state government should foot all the hospital bills of the police personnel that sustains injury. Consider it done, we will foot all the bills that you might have incurred, that you are currently incurring. Just go through your DPO or your area commander and compile them and send them to the Commissioner of Police. We will deal with them immediately.
Governor Sanwo-Olu promised that police officers serving in Lagos are also to get life insurance from the state government. In spite of the loss, the police said they remained undeterred in performing their constitutional duties. In Lagos, Nosa Osula, NTA News.
Meanwhile, a cross-section of Nigerians have recommended that all citizens, the private sector and other stakeholders should collaborate with government at all levels in the reconstruction and recovery processes and not dwell on the ruins of the past to enable the nation surmount hurdles posed by the just-ended crisis. Amaka O has details.
There is a saying that there is no perfect society, as nations of the world often experience one form of unrest or the other at various times, just like the pockets of upheavals experienced recently across the country.
We should be in a mood of building a new nation where people talk to one another, and because they communicate, they can better understand each other.
We feel that the way forward for Nigeria is to everybody to take a step back, appreciate what Nigeria is, and the historical role that Nigeria should be playing, not just in Africa, but the whole of the world.
Some Nigerians believe that lessons have been learned, urging the citizens to embrace the path of peace going forward.
We need to preach peace atmosphere to our followers, because majority of this, either youth or whatever, they either come to a mosque or go to church.
And I don't support those who are now fanning the ember of disunity from outside or within. We need fairness, we need justice, we need equity, we need tolerance. We need to see ourselves as Nigerians.
Now that the State Panel of Inquiry and Restitution have been inaugurated by the Lagos State government to investigate cases of police brutality, some notable Nigerians want the team to be thorough in its investigations.
The panel, I trust, we have a lot of respect for the chairman of the panel, that she will be honest, she will be truthful. Not only we in Lagos want to hear the results, the whole world is putting a searchlight.
Despite these setbacks, Nigeria remains the pride of Africa, and having a youth bulge of about 60% in her population, harnessing potential of these youngsters, effectively, respondents say, will place the nation on the path of recovery and prosperity. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
We have more news on Nationwide, and Ruth is still in Abuja for details.
Very well, Michael. Thank you. The aftermath of the NSAS protests across the country is one that leaves little to be desired, from wanton looting to destruction of property, many accounting their losses. Guests on NTA Good Morning Nigeria are of the opinion that towards reconstruction and rehabilitation, an improved youth engagement and political education would engender citizen participation to avert any future occurrence. Daniel Aderiye tells us more.
Already the house-to-house search has already begun this morning, and we are hoping that all those items looted will be recovered as part of the recovery process. The curfew is still in force. Some of the people have started returning the looted items.
The reality today is that less than 15% of Nigerians are productive. We only circulate whatever comes from the government. If you can get even 40 or 35% of our people, particularly the youth, to engage in productive activity, it will increase our GDP, it will make revenue available to government, and we will expand. So we must look at our curriculum. We can't just be training people to come out and look for office job.
The experiences differ, but the situation is the same. Carnage across states as a result of looting by hoodlums. While emphasis lies on political education for youths to create a balance in the scheme of things, others are looking at issues that border on exploitation of insurance policies, which they say will help absorb the shock suffered by private and public organizations. They also highlight creating enabling business and technical education to tackle the burden of unemployment.
If there are insurances, all the government can do is to make sure that these insurance companies paid those victims of the disaster, and then they focus on the developmental aspect.
But 27.1% unemployment, 28% underemployment, that's over 50-something%. A country where over 60% of the population are youth. Something has to be done about job creation, and it's the duty of the government to provide an enabling environment for this to happen.
I want a situation where they will articulate and get what went wrong. That is the destruction. At a particular point, what is the worth of this one that was destroyed here? Compile it and make appropriate allocation to it so that the loss will not be too total.
The mayhem will not be forgotten in a long while, with attendant effect on private and public infrastructure. But the guests are optimistic of better days if government at all levels give particular attention to private and small-scale businesses that suffered huge losses. In Abuja, Daniel Aderiye, NTA News.
Well, beyond the violence and other opportunistic crimes that attended the recent NSAS protests across the country, the agitations offers the country a unique chance to reconsider the call for state police as part of wholesome police reforms. Governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun, stated this in Abeokuta while addressing stakeholders meeting on NSAS protests.
With the objective of sustaining peace in Ogun State in the aftermath of the recent NSAS protests across the country, the stakeholders meeting had in attendance traditional rulers, religious leaders, youth leaders, civil society groups, community development councils, and top hierarchy of security agencies in the state. The state governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, who led government delegation to the meeting, applauded the peaceful conduct of youths and security operatives in the state, which he said did not allow the protest degenerate into violence and wanton destruction of properties. The NSAS protest, the governor notes, has brought to the fore some germane questions about police system and administration in the country.
Let us also on our part, let us support the police to be better informed, to be better prepared, to be more humane, to be more understanding.
The Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of Southwest, Adeleye Oyebade, told the meeting that management of the Nigerian Police Force is now poised to bridge the gap between the public and its personnel, using the community policing strategy to restore the trust and confidence of Nigerians in the law enforcement agency.
If the President has spoken and the Inspector General of Police said I should come here and reassure you, the People's Police of our dream, we shall get there.
The meeting also highlighted the need for Nigerians to refrain from posting or sharing inciting statements and video clips that can fan the embers of disunity and discord on the social media. In Abeokuta, Adini Tewu, NTA News.
In line with the federal government's directive, Bauchi State Governor Senator Bala Mohammed has inaugurated a 17-man judicial panel of inquiry to investigate cases of police brutality in the state. Abbas Mekano reports.
Brought under my consideration.
The panel, with Justice Habibu Idris Shell as chairman, is to submit its final report in 6 months' time and expected to submit progressive reports on a monthly basis. Judicial panel's terms of reference include, among other things, to receive written and oral evidence against SARS brutality in the state, identify those responsible for the abuse of human rights among members of the disbanded Special Anti-Robbery Squad, and to recommend appropriate compensation to the victims.
Your appointment into the panel at this crucial moment is based on your our conviction that you will squarely face the assignment with all sense of dedication, commitment, justice and fairness, and as well as patriotism. We have also taken cognizance of your cognate background and your antecedents and pedigree, and knowing each and everyone in person as a governor, I knew you would deliver the mandate given to you.
The panel chairman, Justice Habibu Idris Shell, appreciated the governor for finding them worthy for the job and promised to justify the confidence reposed on them. In Bauchi, Abbas Mekano, NTA News.
Abia State Governor Ukeze Victor Bazu has appealed to youths to desist from wanton destruction of public and private property, as government has taken note of their grievances and has taken steps to tackle them. The governor was speaking at a special non-partisan stakeholders town hall meeting convened to foster peace in Abia after the peaceful protest by Nigerian youths. Chinyere Okoli has more to tell us.
According to Governor Kezi Bazu, the essence of the meeting was to brainstorm on what has befallen Abia State as a result of the recent protest, which was hijacked by criminal elements to destroy public and private property with a view to chanting the way forward.
To appeal to our youth to desist and stop from this callous carnage.
The Minister of State for Mine and Steel Development, Dr. Uchechukwu Samson Oga, thanked the governor for agreeing with the directive of the federal government to convene the meeting and agreed that the youth have the right to protest, but not through violence. Other stakeholders who spoke were leaders of Muslim community, both federal and state lawmakers, some of who called for creation of more jobs for the youth. In Umuahe Chinyere Okoli, NTA News.
And Benin is our next stop as we join Agatha. She's going to bring us the next set of reports.
Thank you, Ruth, for joining us in Benin. Our President Muhammadu Buhari is urging youths and vulnerable groups in Edo State to take advantage of the economic programs made available to enhance their well-being. This was the message Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, Clem Agba, took to the palace of the Oba of Benin. Goodluck Inaini has the report.
The minister is in Edo State on the directive of the presidency in response to NSA's protest. According to the minister, government has accepted the 5-point demand by the youths, just as the president has also signed the Police Act 2020 into law. The president envoy urged the youths in the state to take advantage of the 75 billion naira National Youth Fund and other openings provided by the federal government.
President Muhammadu Buhari truly cares for the well-being of Nigerians from all walks of life, and to this end, government has embarked on several people-oriented programs so as to create jobs and reduce poverty in line with this administration's desire to take 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in the next 10 years. And Nigerian youths have always been a beacon of hope and represent the very best of us.
Oba Ewaye II pledged the support of the palace.
Also appeal to the youth to give government a chance to implement these programs. We do our best to support the state government to carry out some of the programs, both the state programs and the federal government programs, to ensure peace and the welfare of the youth.
The minister is also expected to meet separately with the state governor and other stakeholders in Benin. Good luck in Aini, NTA News.
126 suspects are in police net in Benin for their involvement in looting and wanton destruction during the NSAS protest. Commissioner of Police, Edo State, Johnson Kokumo, also confirmed the arrest of 10 escapees from the jailbreaks in Benin, and among them is one who killed his neighbor for testifying against him. The previous week was characterized by cases of arson, destruction of public and private property, jailbreaks, looting from warehouses including the state-owned warehouse on Medical Stores Road and State Command of the Nigeria Customs Service. 106 of these suspects are allegedly involved in at least one of these crimes, while 10 others were arrested for stealing private vehicles. 3 of the 10 escapees from the correctional centers in Benin were arrested by the police after snatching a Lexus vehicle. A set of 2 others stole a Toyota Camry but were arrested by the police in Okada and the vehicle recovered.
Some of these criminal elements who escaped from Oko prison, Benin prison here, were also arrested. One of them, after having escaped from Oko prison, went back to his village on that same day to kill the person who stood as prosecution witness in his case, the case that took him to prison. He's been arrested.
Items recovered from the suspects arrested, 5 AK-47 rifles and 2 locally made guns were recovered from the suspects. Also, 24 crates of assorted drinks recovered from some of the suspects, the commissioner says, have been returned to the owner of a private warehouse in Benin.
He said I can't thief rice. Come and follow the drug. Then those area boys can't mobilize again now. They can't chase us because they can't hold this first one before they can't hold me.
He urges residents to go about their activities as officers continue efforts to sustain calm. That's it from here. Ruth will now continue nationwide.
Thanks, Agatha. The African region is said to have more than enough energy resources and many more yet to be discovered. For this reason, energy experts converge through a webinar to map out ways the African continent can close the $50 billion per annum investment gap in Africa's energy sector to improve electricity generation before 2025. Elizabeth Omori tells us more.
An African Development Bank study shows that investment needed to close the electricity deficit in Africa is estimated at an annual cost of 35 to 50 billion US dollars to achieve 10% urban electrification and 95% rural electrification by 2025. With most African countries having a target of achieving universal electricity access by 2025 and 2030, African countries are beginning to strategize to actualize the goal, and this formed the essence of this webinar.
Why we put in place or we revise the PPP law and make sure that the regulatory framework is attractive.
I believe that we can definitely do something towards meeting the SDGs, but we have to do things differently. We have to have more cooperation, more collaboration. We have to have a coalition of similar like-minded people.
Energy experts drawn from within the continent unanimously agreed that private sector partnership is critical to meeting the targets.
You need to have a strong corporate governance. I think that is very key because without that, investors from across the globe will not feel comfortable.
Enabling market for investors and DFIs, promotion of local materials, and sound regulatory framework were part of the recommendations made by the Zambian Energy Ministry. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Well, we hear there is breast cancer sensitization in Maiduguri. Let's join Abubakar there for details and other stories.
That's true, Ruth. Thanks for joining us. 3,000 children, mostly from underprivileged families, are being enrolled in 2 mega schools in In Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, Governor Babagana Umar Zulum disclosed this while inaugurating the 2 mega schools at Ajilari Cross in Jere, as well as Mesandari Ward of Maiduguri Metropolitan Council, both low-income communities in which many school-aged children are out of school. Here are more details of the story. Each of the schools has 30 classrooms, with each to accommodate between 40 to 50 pupils at maximum, meaning about 3,000 pupils in 60 classrooms. Inaugurating the multimillionaire structures, which have been equipped with desks and chairs, while pupils already admitted provided free uniforms, Governor Babagana Umara said 48 teaching and non-teaching staff, including the head teachers, are to serve both schools at equal ratio, while noting that construction of the institutions was started and completed within 17 months of his administration. Governor Umara explained that government is handing over the schools to the communities who are expected to run the facilities through a committee within the areas, while government will pay teachers' salary through the Education Trust Fund on monthly basis by way of grants. He further stressed that the state government is determined to sustain the school in close collaboration with community efforts in ways that will serve generations to come. The governor ordered the construction of 2 deep aquifer boreholes to serve inhabitants of the mega school at Ajilari Cross.
What matters is not the construction of classrooms, but the most important thing that we shall look into it is the issue of service delivery.
Governor Babagana Umara Zulum had recently approved the recruitment of over 700 teachers for secondary schools and promised to employ hundreds of them for primary schools as soon as ongoing verification and standardization of teachers are completed. The need for women to imbibe the culture of regular medical breast checkup and personal self-examination to curtail the menace of breast cancer in the society has been emphasized. Wife of Borno State Governor Dr. Falmata Babagana Umara made the remark at the breast cancer awareness campaign put together through her initiative, Multi-Aid and Charity Initiative, which took place at the Multipurpose Hall of Government House, Maiduguri. Yagum Subukar completes the story.
The month of October every year is set aside to create awareness about breast cancer and increase attention as well as support to cancer patients. In the light of this, Multi-Aid and Charity Initiative organized breast cancer awareness campaign to encourage women to self-examine themselves, get early care and palliative for the disease. Highlighting the importance of the monthly personal self-examination and medical checkup, wife of Borno State Governor Dr. Falmata Babagana stressed the need for women to be part of the ongoing fight against the disease, saying the issue of breast cancer control lies with women.
Let's encourage the women in our lives, our mothers, our sisters, our daughters and friends to get a mammogram. Early detection can catch the disease when it is most treatable.
Representative of Commissioner of Health, Dr. Mohammed Guluzi, and Commissioner for Women Affairs, Zue Rogambo, called on women to adhere to the advice of early detection and examination and pass the knowledge to protect vulnerable women in the society. There was paper presentation on breast cancer by a resource person, Dr. Babashew Mohammed, who dwelt extensively on self-breast examination and signs of breast cancer, among others. Women, students and breast cancer patients who were randomly selected benefited from the symbolic presentation, while free medical checkup was conducted for those present at the event by the initiative. This year's breast cancer awareness has as its theme, Give Hope, Save Life. Radia Abdul Karim, a student of El Kanemi College of Islamic Theology, presented a poem to breast cancer survivors. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subukar, NTA News.
And those are the latest stories. For now, from Maiduguri, let's take a break now. And Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachiku in Kaduna will be back with the next set of stories on Nationwide.
My name is Nando Jamda
Muhammad.
Stevita
Hussein Musa. Roduna Joel Finji. Said Musa John.
I'm a carpenter. I've been doing this for more than 8 years now.
And I said that plantain na kai kimamin shekara uku.
I've been selling my tomatoes for about 10 years now, and I do it for a better Nigeria.
Ina
wannan sana'ar lemu ne domin Najeriya ta ci gaba. Ina sa domin Najeriya ta kyau.
and you can see how we're doing our small little work to make Nigeria great.
As you can see, I'm a technician and I'm doing it to help myself and to help my generation. Business.
This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. App for iOS or Android, Intelsat 901 degree east. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news don't create
work from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Access Bank and Babai Jebu.
Very much, Abubakar, from our Maiduguri Network Center. And the latest from Kaduna Network Center is that towards curbing the perennial incidences of flooding across Katsina, the state government has embarked on the construction of drainages in major towns and villages being affected by the menace. Governor Aminu Bello Masari, while assessing the progress of work, warned against dumping of refuse on waterways. Awal Haliru has the details.
The multi-million naira project for the construction of standard drainage channels undertaken by Katsina State government covers most local government areas of the state to address ecological problems. Governor Aminu Bello Masari inspected the ongoing project at various locations of the state capital to assess the progress made. The projects are being carried out under the Nigeria Erosion and Watershed Management Project to check erosion and flood in the state. The project coordinator Ashir Mohammed said 900 meters will be covered by the drainage work in the state capital. Governor Masari had earlier paid similar inspection visits on Jibia's Water project, which is being executed by the state government to check flooding during rainy season.
2 years ago, there was heavy flood. Many lives were lost, properties destroyed. Some animals were also killed during the flood, and many people lost their means of livelihood. And I think the issue of providing drainages and culverts in Jibia is very, very significant to the people.
Governor Masari called on people of the state to make good use of the facilities and to desist from indiscriminate dumping of refuse on waterways to avoid flooding. Awal Haliru, NTA News.
Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps Kaduna State Command has paraded 18 suspects for their alleged involvement in various crimes, including rape of minors. Haruna Mohammed reports.
14 of the suspects were arrested for alleged rape and other related offenses. 49-year-old security guard and his friend allegedly gang raped a minor. A bikeman brought a 13-year-old to my place, and we regret our actions. 2 of the suspects were also paraded for trafficking in hard drugs and were apprehended following a tip-off, while 2 others were arrested for vandalizing electrical installations. Commandant Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps Kaduna State Command Nuruddin Abdullahi called for vigilance and useful intelligence that will help in tackling crimes.
We have introduced new strategies of operation which lead to numerous arrests by our officers and the men.
Some cases are still under investigation, while those completed have been charged to court. In Kaduna, I am Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
And with that report, Ruth, please take it away from here.
Thank you very much, Suleiman. And Sports Updates is next for us with Ayodeji Makinde.
The Nigeria Volleyball Federation has backed newly elected President of Confederation of African Volleyball, CAVB, Hajij Butchra, to deliver effective leadership that would ensure sustained growth and development of the sport on the continent and beyond.
Nigerian Volleyball Federation will contribute its own quota towards the development of volleyball in Africa and support our administration. It is our desire that we will grow from glory to glory, and it is our desire that Africa will conquer the world. And we pray that she will continue to lead the CAVB to a greater height.
In basketball, the Tigers of Nigeria will begin their campaign in the 2021 AfroBasket qualifiers with a game against Algeria come November 27 in Rwanda, before facing the hosts on November 28 and finally Mali on November 30 in Group D. The top 3 teams will qualify for the competition slated for Kigali, Rwanda, August 24 to September 5, 2021. The Tigers are currently ranked 26th in the world and 1st in Africa. Meanwhile, in France, elite sports will continue despite a nationwide lockdown announced by President Emmanuel Macron, according to Sports Minister Roxana Maracignano. This comes as a welcome news for France's top soccer league, Ligue 1, as well as French rugby, with the national side set to host Ireland on Saturday in their Six Nations final, while Paris Masters Tennis Tournament is also due to begin on Monday. With Sports Update, Ayodeji Makinde, NTA News.
All right, that's Nationwide today. Thank you very much for your company. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real?